How many times have you had people ask you, what is your dream job? And how many times have you replied with an answer like, maybe you want to be a photographer, maybe you want to be an illustrator, maybe you want to be a makeup artist. There's so many different fields, especially within the creative fields that I've talked about on this channel, that it's easy to kind of slot into, I guess, if you're a creative. And maybe one of these fields in particular has always been considered a dream job for yourself. Particularly these days, we do talk a lot about dream jobs, and the conversation is not only in the media, but it's also all over social media in particular. And on YouTube, self-help gurus, you'll hear the term dream job basically everywhere. And I think it's really wonderful that we live in a time where we can kind of aspire to these dream jobs if we want to, and we really can work hard towards some of these goals. But today in this video, I really wanted to talk about why you should maybe consider not so much your dream job, but your dream lifestyle, because there is a very big difference between these two things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with my so-called dream job as well. So I started photography when I was 15 years old, and this was through kind of experimenting with a very old digital camera that I used to own. And I kind of just got into photography quite quickly, actually. I'd always been creative, and I'd always been very interested in creative tasks and aspects. I'd always loved art and lots of different creative things under that category. And photography was something that I kind of stumbled across when I was kind of looking for that career path to take. So now I'm 32 this year, and in between the ages of 15 to 32, I changed a lot as a person. And considering I'm still a photographer to this day, and still kind of pursuing, I guess, in a sense, what I wanted to when I was younger, it is a really long time to kind of be doing that. And a lot of people will do this for even longer throughout their lifetimes. They'll be basically pursuing their dream job from when they were 15 right up until they're 70. And I'm not particularly saying that anything's wrong with this, but I do want to kind of tell you my experience behind this and why I think it's something that's definitely worth considering. If you have an idea of a dream job, then maybe consider a dream lifestyle instead, particularly as a creative. So something I did when I was quite early on looking into photography is I was really finding out different genres that I liked. I was experimenting with different genres. I really enjoyed doing things like conceptual photography. I enjoyed doing things like landscape photography, but I also enjoyed doing a lot of portraiture. And then I started to kind of go down the track of wanting to become a fashion photographer. I didn't really know what that kind of entailed at the time. I think I thought that there was a lot of freedom that came along with fashion photography, and I've often said this on both my YouTube channels, but there was definitely aspects about it that were quite foreign to me. And in terms of fashion had never really been something that I was super interested in, but definitely when it came to makeup and kind of that sort of aspect style, it definitely was. So I felt that that was a good pathway for me to take in terms of pursuing a dream job, and I started to enjoy it more and more as I did it. However, there was something else that I did with this particular pathway that I took from the beginning, and I think we all do this to an extent with our dream jobs, is that we tend to romanticize things a lot more. So I absolutely enjoyed what I was doing, and I absolutely enjoyed doing different test shoots, creating different concepts. There was this element that was really magical to, I guess, fashion photography and beauty photography in general. But one thing that I didn't really start to realize was that there might be many aspects of this dream job that I had envisioned that I wouldn't like. And believe me, there are a lot of things about the industry, a lot of things about this particular pathway that I took that I didn't like. At the heart of it, I loved the creative pursuit of it. I loved the creativeness of being a fashion photographer, being a beauty photographer, and I still do. I still love that creative aspect in terms of building a photo shoot up from nothing and basically coming up with a concept. I loved that about it, and I love that to this day. But unfortunately, monetizing your passion is not always the best pathway for people. And for me, I'm still wondering whether it was the best pathway for me, in a sense, to monetize my passion, something that I loved to do so dearly. It became something in the end that almost felt like a bit of a chore. And this was mainly due to the fact that, as I said, there were lots of elements to this job that I didn't particularly like. And there's always going to be things with a job that you take on in any field that you don't necessarily like to do. There's always going to be those things that you prefer to do and the things that you don't like to do. However, there was things about this particular pathway that I'd taken and this particular dream job that I'd envisioned that really got me down at times, and in a way that made it so unenjoyable for me to produce photo shoots, that made it unenjoyable for me to kind of pursue these creative aspects, that I didn't start to feel creative anymore. I'd realized that I'd monetized my passion in a way that felt like I had no creative outlet anymore. It was my job, it was my business, and that's that. I didn't realize when I was much younger that clients would be such a huge part of taking on a fashion photography role or being a freelancer, that clients for a long time would be my main source of income. And essentially when you're working for clients like this, especially in the fashion industry, there's very strict requirements that you really need to meet in terms of your creative aesthetics and styles and things like that when you're producing work. You have to fit in with a very, very narrow form of what the industry, of what people will say is fashion, is beauty, and you do have to follow these things. And trends are going to be very much present in so many jobs these days, but especially in terms of fashion photography. I also come to realize that there were many aspects about fashion photography that I enjoyed and that I'd envisioned being part of my dream job, but were more connected to the lifestyle that I eventually wanted. So I always wanted to be my own boss. I always wanted to be a freelancer. I always wanted to have this element of working from home, but also kind of having collaborative pursuits as well, like working on photo shoots, for example, is a very team effort. It's a very collaborative approach to work. And I really loved that mix of things, but they didn't all necessarily have to come along with fashion photography and what I thought was going to be my dream job. These are things that you can work into lots of different pathways. And I started to realize that also parts of my business, like for example, retouching, wasn't necessarily something that was super exciting for me in my business, but it was something that produced income. And I always kind of felt a little bit less stressed, a little bit more on top of my work, a little bit more creative when I was kind of doing these aspects of retouching for clients instead of producing a photo shoot, which was a lot more time consuming, which was a lot more creative heavy. You have to sort of be on top of what the client wants in terms of lighting, fashion, beauty, everything. It's a lot more effort that goes into these kinds of photo shoots that can kind of drain your own creativity. Doing retouching for me, in a sense, was a lot easier because I was kind of working from home still. I was able to do these sessions from the comfort of my own desk. I was getting them done fairly quickly. I was earning money and I wasn't having to stress about that aspect of kind of grinding every day to book clients and photo shoots that at the end of the day quite often made me feel very drained of my own creativity. And it sort of felt like I was doing things for other people that I wasn't actually producing for myself. And I know as creatives, we all tend to feel like this a lot at times. And as freelancers, this is a very common aspect to that. So I would say it's important not to romanticize your dream job all the time. And no matter what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with pursuing what you feel like is your dream job. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think this video is more or less kind of asking you to consider different aspects about your dream lifestyle, more so that you want to achieve one day. Start to think less about your career every single minute of every day and more about what you genuinely want out of life. For example, start to ask yourself some questions like, what do you envision your days looking like? Do you envision being outdoors regularly or working in your own home office space? Or do you prefer a more collaborative environment with other people, or even a mix of the above? You start to think about certain aspects like, do I want to work remotely or work from anywhere? Or are you happy to work in a single place and kind of enjoy that security that comes along with that? You'll start to realize that so many aspects that are associated with your dream job are actually connected to your dream lifestyle as well. And they may actually be lifestyle goals that you're pursuing, not necessarily career goals. Many of these goals might even be connected to your why. And if you haven't heard about this, there's so much information online about finding your why, but it's essentially finding out your values in life and really what connects with you the most. Why are you doing what you're doing? Maybe you'll also consider that you don't want to do a 9-to-5 job. Maybe you work better in the mornings or better in the afternoon. Maybe you want a night shift job. Maybe you'll want a different structure to your day, which is very much possible when kind of finding out what you want for your lifestyle day to day. You don't always have to choose your passion for your career because it may not give you the lifestyle that you want eventually. And as a creative, and speaking from personal experience, it might actually make you lose the love for doing what you're doing. Having said this, it's always great to also feel fulfilled and feel like you're doing meaningful work. But if you don't feel that way about the job that you're doing, but you're enjoying your lifestyle, that's okay too. You don't always have to pursue meaningful work or always feel fulfilled in what you're doing. I think that's really important also to mention. Try and think more so about your values in life over the goals that you always associate with your career day to day. because there's definitely more to your life and more to achieving things than always focusing on your career. I think that's one thing that I'm trying to get across with this video, and hopefully some of this information has resonated with you. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below if you are trying to pursue a dream lifestyle at the moment or a dream goal. Definitely let me know in the comments section. Let me know your experience if you've also had that experience of pursuing a dream job that hasn't really gone your way, or maybe you've realized that it's not a dream job after all. I'd really like to hear your experience with this as well. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more content on here in future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!